will.
You're ready, you're going. Well, somebody said it was 2:30, so.
Well, it's
So I was laughing, I got my Facebook notification that you're live.
it was 2:28, so I'm not sure why it actually 2:30.
Well, we need a NASA calculated, clock in here somewhere.
And then after the budget hearings are adjourned, give me about 5 minutes to set up for the public buildings, okay?
Get John.
I couldn't even see you today, I was too far back, so I moved my chair.
Somewhere on the phone, whatever. He said, this is literally getting money to be in
Sarah.
Skype or FaceTime.
They told me it was 2:30.
So, I told him, we said, oh, yeah, money, I told him about the team.
All right, it is now 2:30, it's May 11th, 2020. Calling to order Hawkins County Budget and Finance Committee. I'll ask clerk to call the roll, please.
Rick Brewer,
Here.
Bob Eads,
Here.
Keith Gibson,
Here.
Valerie Goins, here, Ray Jesse,
Here.
John Mintz,
Here.
Charlie Thacker.
Here.
Is Mr. DeWitt not gonna attend today?
No.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, we have 7 members present, constituting a quorum.
Entertain a motion for approval of consent agenda for today's meeting.
I move to approve the agenda.
Have a motion by Commissioner Brewer and a second by Commissioner Gibson. All in favor, please state saying aye. Motion passes. We'll now entertain a motion for Budget Committee minute approval for April 20, 2020.
I so move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Goins,
I'll second that motion.
a second by Commissioner Thacker. Any questions? If none, all those in favor, please state saying aye. Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes. We will now move on to resolutions to be presented Monday evening. Starting with resolution 2020-0503, an amendment of June 30, 2019 estimated fund balances and reserves on approved 2019-2020 fiscal year budgets. Mr. Buchanan.
This is a audit requirement here, just to make sure that you see how far aligned any of our balances were from what the audit standard were, versus what we said they would be in the budget notebooks. Most of those came out very well, seeing how large the budgets were. If you have any questions on those, I'm happy to try to answer.
I move we send that on to full commission.
Motion by Commissioner Brewer, second by Commissioner Jesse. If no further questions, please state your approval by saying aye. Any opposed, like sign, motion passes. Moving on to resolution 2020-0504, budget amendment, general fund. Floor is open for questions.
Is that the, I apologize, I ran right off and left mine at home. Is that the sheriff's
Yeah, general fund budget amendment.
general fund? Is that requiring any new money, any of those items requiring any new money?
No, this is what they did actually quite a while back in the personnel meeting, when they moved around a couple of those positions, had some deputies going up to detectives, with a deputy going to sergeant, and then SRO corporal, a couple other small changes they made. They said then that it wasn't constantly new money, and it did come out that way, but we had to move it to the proper lines. They changed a lot of different jobs, so we just had to get it in the proper place so we could pay those folks.
No money's coming out of the general,
Fund
fund balance, okay.
No, sir.
I moved, we sent it on for me. I'm sorry.
Motion by Commissioner Brewer, second by Commissioner Edens. No further questions, please state your approval by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Moving on to resolution 2020-0505, budget amendment, education debt service fund.
Make a motion to send it for reading.
Have a motion by Commissioner Edens,
I second.
second by Commissioner Goins. No further questions. Please state your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. So may none. Motion passes. Since we're on consent agenda, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn the Budget and Finance Committee.
Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion by Commissioner Thacker. And a second by Commissioner Gibson. All those in favor, please state the saying aye. Motion passes. That's a record.
Won't be like that tomorrow.
That's good. I have to go back and look for it.
Yes, sir.
Sarah,
10:50.
I'm good, Sarah.
Okay, are you sure?
Moving around.
I'm still gonna stop the recorder while I pass out.
Do you have any idea what 1 point equals?
Hey, Sarah.
I just don't, we don't know the ratings.
I don't know if we'll have to stop it and restart it because they may run meeting together. We did.
4 or 5% something was, of course, a fractional percentage, and it wasn't a clean percentage, but it was under what we had estimated. But no, I'm not, we're trying to have some more concrete information on that, but we never did get it, I don't think, until August, so.
I'll say it in the email today, just ask him some questions. I didn't know what 1 point was equivalent to.
Lots of reading material.
You need this to be.
I don't think so. Just need a motion, please.
All day.
All day for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
That's not good.
But maybe two.
Well, we've got just a minute before we start the meeting, everybody look over the budget. I've seen it, looked over it, and I think Sarah's done a good job with it. You can look at that.
Jeff, would you and Allison mind signing my sign-in sheet for the public buildings? I have another one, so. I'm just gonna put it up here and you can sign it when you get ready to leave, okay?
Have you got an agenda for this meeting too?
I do. Do you want the packet as well? Sure. Nice little colorful spreadsheet there. Here you go, Allison. Jeff, don't forget to sign it.
Oh,
We'll
that's
get
why I
rid
got
of
up,
it.
to get excited.
It's gonna take me longer to get my stuff reorganized than it did for the budget meeting.
Okay.
But below $1,300, she said, so.
Yes, that, yes.
Okay, I'm ready, you guys are on, turn the recorder on. Do me meeting, okay? Let me get it on, get back over there.
Are you ready? It's 2:40 PM. We'll call the Public Buildings Committee meeting to order and ask Sarah if she would do a roll call.
Rick Brewer,
Here.
Bob Eaton's,
Here.
Keith Gibson,
Here.
Valerie Goins, Ray Jesse,
Here.
John Metz,
Here.
Charlie Packer.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have 7 members present, constituted quorum.
Thank you, sir. The next item will be the approval of the Public Buildings Committee minutes from February the 18th, 2020. And I think that was a meeting that I wasn't present at, so someone, hope y'all have those in front of you or have read them. We entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chairman. I second.
Motion by Commissioner Thacker, second by Commissioner Edens, to approve the minutes from the Public Buildings Committee. Is there any discussion or anything to be added to that? If not, everyone in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of the budget, and I know you all have just got those.
If you'll look for this sheet, that's the budget in the notebook, the budget notebook.
Right, right.
And the spreadsheet that looks like, it's a colorful spreadsheet. Looks like this is the budget on a spreadsheet, okay? They're exactly the same. Sometimes it's easier to look at the spreadsheet than it is.
If you got anything you want to comment while everybody's looking at that, Sarah?
Sure, might as well now. The mayor's got something he'd like to add to this. This is kind of a last minute request for the budget.
We had a similar problem in the park, actually the same problem. We don't have enough labor now. We're not getting any inmate help to speak of, so, we're asking to, for you to appropriate the money for a part-time person for maintenance. We got that approved the other day in the Parks Committee, but we also need it in the maintenance. I don't think we've not had inmate help how many months?
It's fall since the work crew has kept us doing the project. It's been fall. Now, the maintenance gentlemen have an inmate to work with them every day, but as far as that big work crew, the 4 or 5 guys or 3 that come out and do the big jobs for us,
Painting, putting forward down, stuff like that, we're not getting that anymore.
they started the library in the fall and we haven't had any since.
Do you know whether once this virus deal is over with,
This
is that
started
will
before
change?
the virus. But we're asking for a part-time person, at least a part-time person, to fill in the gaps there. And, if we do 1,300 hours at $10.50 an hour, that's $13,650. There's no benefits or anything.
Let me make sure I'm understanding, and everybody else. What we're doing is, you're asking for this to go into the public buildings under the maintenance part.
Right.
Instead of, it's not gonna be in the parks budget. It's gonna be in the.
We already got one approved for parks.
We we had to ask for the park as well, Rick, I guess that's where we had to ask for more help for the park, for the same reason. I guess that's where you're.
Oh, I'm misunderstanding completely. I thought we was talking about the park.
No, those buildings.
Okay, I'm sorry.
They're gonna have somebody work part-time at the park. Work part-time at the park and then be part-time here, how you gonna get, are you gonna hire two different people?
Two different people, it's two different budgets.
Who are you gonna get to work part-time?
It's a good question.
How much money, do we need to put into this budget? Jim, I'm sorry,
Well, for 1,300 hours, and we may not need them that much, you know, but, for 1,300 hours, at $10.50 an hour, that's 13,650, no benefits.
That falls under, line item 166.
no, we don't have a line item right now.
I'm looking at the county buildings, what I'm looking at.
Right, it would be more, Mr. Tucker, it would be more 167, it would be a maintenance personnel, but it would be a part-time maintenance personnel, so we would have to have a new line item.
Next one down.
Yes, we would have to add a line.
What hourly rate did you say? 10.50. Start about 10.50 and then they go to 11.
For those of you who have been here for some time, if you can remember, the maintenance had 2 full-time people, and then they had a maintenance manager, 2 full-time people. That second full-time person was cut some time ago and never given back. And we've worked along without it, and we were doing fine, but big projects, such, you gotta understand that this is a big county, and we have buildings in Churchill. They call me, the commode's overflowing in Churchill, can't shut the water off, water everywhere. I've got to call my maintenance guys to go fix that. Well, if they're up there at the library painting, and they've got ladders and paint and brushes, and they gotta either leave that laying there while they go put out the fire in Churchill, or they have to pack it all up and secure that before they can even leave. It's hard for them to do big projects such as that. So either we're gonna have to have part-time help, or we're gonna have to hire things like that done.
So what's the actual head count currently in your maintenance?
And right now, I have 1 person.
Just one person?
We had a maintenance manager and a maintenance,
Supervisor.
we had a supervisor and a manager. I mean, a supervisor and just the maintenance personnel. And the supervisor's no longer with us. Right now I have 1 maintenance guy that has an inmate with him. And, you know, if the heat and air goes out, you know, they want that fixed immediately. He has to drop what he's doing, run there. I call them off all day long on projects. And that's why it's so hard for them to start projects such as painting or putting a flooring down. We need new flooring down in our annex building, and I can't have them putting flooring down and they get called out and, you know, leave that mess there. It's just really hard.
So as of right now, you've not hired another supervisor?
Not at this time.
Well, my question is, if you hire a supervisor, is he just gonna supervise, or is he gonna work too?
It's both.
Well, that's what I would think. The reason I asked.
It'll be both.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, if you'll take a close look at the budget, it's a very realistic budget, I think. I've cut the fat out of it as much as I can. I still think I could find some savings in the next year. I just hadn't had time to dig into everything. I've cut our communication budget 54% from last year. We're gonna have that savings in this year too. And after we approve the budget, I'd like to ask you all to look at some budget amendments I would like to do. communication money that I've saved, which is around $16,000, I have moved that into, maintenance and repair of the buildings. This is money that we need to repair our buildings. If you will look around at all our buildings, if you'll walk through the annex right now, we've got duct tape on the floor. We need more money that we can spend making our buildings look nicer. We need our buildings to be safer, and they need to look good. We have duct tape down the hall. That carpet's probably 25 years old, it needs to be replaced. This allows me, by saving that money in my communication, I'm wanting to move that to a line item where we can use the money. Or paying those high telephone bills is like throwing money out the window. Also, we've reduced contracted services 30%. That's a savings of $33,000. I increased our building improvement lines.
Excuse me, Miss McKee.
Again, these are lines where we can do large projects instead of always coming to you and saying, well, I've got this project and that project. If I had more money in those lines, that would just be in our budget. It wouldn't be an additional request every year. You know, if I had the money in my budget to do some of these, bigger projects, then you would always kind of know what your budget was gonna be every year. We're still, of course, I didn't ask for anything, for additional capital projects this year, because I hadn't got any approved yet through you all. But right now, without any capital projects request, we're $90,000 under last year's budget. And if you will look at this, I have $50,000 more under building improvements. And I have buildings repair and maintenance. I have $10,000 more, so.
Yeah, you're asking
I've
for,
got more money to spend on buildings now by cutting some of the expenses.
estimated cost for this year versus this year coming up. There'd be $24,622 more.
What line are you speaking about?
I'm looking at the last sheet on this, on the estimated 19-20 year, which is now, versus 20-21 year. I just took those two bottom figures there. It's,
Right.
it's, $24,622 more.
Right.
I apologize to everybody for my phone. I thought I had it on silent, but evidently I didn't. I hope I have now. So, I hate for interrupting the meeting. I apologize.
What did you ask, Charlie? Did you say that again?
Well, between the estimated for this year, 19 and 20,
Yeah.
versus what's asked for in 2021.
Okay.
The bottom two numbers, there's $24,622 difference.
Right, okay.
Well, if everybody will look at this budget, most everything is red at the end, and that's a decrease from last year.
But that does not include any capital projects,
Exactly.
any additional money.
And, you know, I guess,
But if you're
do
looking at,
you want us, the approval for this budget, or do you want to go ahead and look at, of course, I know we still gotta talk about, are we gonna add that, part-time money in here, and do you want to try to do those, look at those, amendments before we?
I would just look at this budget with the mayor's additional request and approve it like it is, and then we can, talk about the the amendments to try to get some of my projects out of the way, we'll mark those projects off, and then we'll know where we stand for next year, what projects are left in.
But you're looking at turning back in about $115,000.
I'm not, I'm hoping I've got a list of projects here I can do with all that.
Let me,
I got that money spent, John.
Well, I know that, but I'm just going by what our original budget is and what your estimated
Yes,
spend
sir.
by year end is.
Yes, sir.
what's the pleasure of the committee of the mayor's request on this, part-time, add this part-time personnel to the budget?
Personally, I don't see how everything can get done with one body.
Well, we would have two in the budget, this would give us a part-time to go with that too, but we just have one right now. Until we can get someone else hired.
Is there any idea of hiring a full-time supervisor at this time?
We've not interviewed yet, should start that shortly.
So are they, one final question. So for your estimated end, you still anticipate that you're gonna be where the estimated ending balance is at 821? You don't foresee any major expenditures between what the current estimate is and the ending?
No, because I'm saying that, I'm gonna spend that on 707, I'm gonna spend all that money.
We'll talk about that here in just a minute on this,
Yeah.
Proposed capital projects, that we can probably end up doing, get a lot of those out of the way where we're gonna have additional money to, hopefully.
I see what you're saying now, John, and actually I did in 307, I estimated I'm gonna spend $12,000, because that's actually high. My communication line looks like it's gonna come in around $9,000, but on this estimate, I only estimated I'm gonna spend 12 of that, and which is close to what I spent on my communication, but what I would like for you to do in just a moment is to allow me to move the savings from the communication line, do a budget amendment, and move this money from communication to building improvements, so we can mark off some of the, capital projects that we have.
So the first thing we need to do is approve this part-time employee. I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Motion by Commissioner Evans, to approve of part-time personnel.
And that's for $13,000, is that what your motion is gonna be?
Yeah.
13,500.
13,650.
What was that total, I'm sorry?
13,650.
$13,650. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Doyle's. Is there any further discussion? If not,
Those people.
you all want a voice vote or you want a roll call vote?
That's the same thing. Roll call.
Okay.
Ray Jesse,
No.
Keith Gibson,
Yes.
Charlie Thacker,
No.
Valerie Goins. Yes. John Metz,
Yes.
Rick Brewer,
Yes.
Bob Eads.
Yes.
We have 5 yeses, motion passes.
I think this person is needed. The only thing is, I don't know what our revenue's gonna look like with this, all this pandemic we face. I know Sullivan County, was it Sullivan County or the city of Kingsport?
City of Kingsport.
Yeah, $5.3 million they've lost.
That's all the retail though,
Well,
we don't have anything like that. That'll help us in one way.
I agree with what you're saying, Charlie, I agree with what you're saying, as far as we don't know revenue, but we're fixing to move some money around right now, and I know that's next year's budget, but, we are the budget committee too, and we're looking at a big savings here that we could take some of that money and make sure that money's in place for that. And that's my reasoning for saying yes on that. But I understand what you're saying too.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know, you know, what everything's gonna look like when we start into
I agree.
the budget and with the revenue that we've lost. And, you know, it's not just Hawkins County or City of Kingsport or something, it's nationwide, I know that.
Okay. Motion carries. Now, you wanna talk about some of this budget, moving this money that you're talking about wanting to do some of these projects, sir?
The first one actually is the communication, and, I've already discussed that with Mr. Lance. When I did this, I estimated that I was gonna only spend $12,000. But in sitting over there thinking and going over my capital projects list, I can use that money to do a lot of things. If I could use that money to put with our $50,000 that you guys gave me to do that Churchill Health Department roof with, I could almost get the roof on that building with some of this money. $50,000 is not gonna get a roof on that building.
We need to update everybody on where we're at on that roof also, sir, because we've had a lot of discussion of changes from the discussion we had to start with. We were talking about going with a metal roof. And the engineers came back and said, well, we're going to tear the old roof completely off, which is going to run into a lot of money to remove that old roof because of the weight structure is what he was telling us. And sir, you correct me if I was telling anything wrong. And Sarah looked at maybe going back with the rubber roof, which may actually be cheaper, whether it's, and I'll say it's not gonna be better, but it would be cheaper than going back with the metal roof, the time you have to take everything back off.
I got a gentleman from, Bernard Roofing who put the roof on the Rogersville Health Department. Based on the square footage, the photos that I sent him, he would not come to the Churchill Health Department to look at the roof during this pandemic we have. He would not go over there. So he gave me a rough ballpark estimate of $70,000 to put that roof on. I have 50 now, so I only need.
How long did that last roof last? How long ago was that building was put on?
This, addition where the flat part is, was put on in 2011, I think.
That's the problem with the rubber roof, it just,
This lasted 9 years.
well,
They don't last long at all.
whether it was put on correctly or not, is the question. You know.
What's the square footage of that building?
You went up there and give us that estimate for $50,000. I cannot remember just sitting there.
It's not important.
Well, that was put metal on the whole thing at that time, but we weren't looking at tearing anything off, that was just going, building up. And that was the $50,000, of course, that's where we're running into some money, of course. Today, if we vote to move this money, that don't mean that we decide which way we're gonna go, we're just gonna put this money in place for this.
The way I
Of
understand
course,
it,
we're asking the budget, we're gonna ask the budget committee to do it, I mean, you know, we've gotta approve it first.
before the, project can go out for bid, I have to have the money there to cover it. So either I could take the money that I haven't used, I've kept all of our money until the end of the year, just in case I have an emergency and I have to buy a couple of, air conditioning units or whatever, you never know what's gonna happen. So we save our money until the end of the year before we start spending it on things, I could either take that money and put a roof on, but that's all I would be able to do this year. If I could do some budget amendments and move this money from places I have saved money, I can get
How
that
much
roof
money,
on.
how much money you talking about switching some of this year? It's gonna help you.
Right now, my communication line, we budgeted $30,000. Year-to-date expenditures right now are $7,000, through April was $7,324. We have $20,755 left in there.
And you need a motion to move that.
I was gonna make a motion
By
to
the
move
bid.
about $18,000 of that to 707, which is a building improvement line.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Thacker to move how much?
18,000.
18,000 from 307 to 7, what's that number?
707.
707.
Take that before the budget committee to move that, money. Is there a second?
I'll say it.
Second by Commissioner Jesse. Is there any discussion, further discussion on that? Now, all this will be done is taken before the budget committee, of course, he'll have to go.
Who actually does
But we'll have to prove it. Somebody may have a different thought with it, but, all in favor of this say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. What else, Sarah?
I see Mr. Matt's calculating there, I'm just wondering if he has a question. He's using his calculator, so. Okay. We also have in line 399, we estimated for $108,000. Year-to-date, we've spent 40, but we've not paid for a lot of this is for our maintenance contracts and such. We did last year quit using a company that was providing a maintenance contract for our HVAC units. We still don't know where we are with signing another contract. So we know we have at least $30,000 savings in that line. I would also like to move that $30,000 to line 707, building improvements.
You say 30,000.
Yes, sir. And if you will notice on next year's budget, I reduced that line. Line 399, I cut back to 75,000.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So you're saying, take 30 or 33
No.
seconds?
What is it you're proposing to do? Do you have a project in mind that you're going?
Yeah, I have several listed here, and I have, cost on those.
I make a motion to move $30,000 to line 707.
Motion by Commissioner Edens, second by Commissioner Jesse. Is any further discussion?
Just to clarify, so you're saying we're essentially adding 46,000 back to 707?
I mean, 48.
48,000.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Pose like sign. Motion carries. Anything else, Sarah, on the budget?
Yes, give me just a second, get this in my minutes. Now with all that money in my building improvements, can I move forward with the health department roof project first?
Do I hear a motion to, or do we need a motion? I mean, if the money's there, do we need a motion to?
I don't think you need a motion.
No, just say yes or no.
Okay, I'll just move forward with that project. I also feel like if, since we can do those budget amendments, that I can also, complete the ramp at the administration building. A very rough estimate right now is around $25,000 for that. That would be, our ADA accessible ramp,
Where is this at?
That's the very first page.
our, admin building.
How much more ADA?
So we could cross that off. So if you're looking at your proposed capital projects sheet,
Okay, number 3, you got enough money to take care of that one
I've
also?
already issued a purchase order for that.
Okay. Number 6, sir, you,
Number 6, the reason I highlighted that is, because we got a quote on, installing 2 more cameras in the admin building. One camera would be in the meeting room, and the other camera would overlook, okay. Anyway, 2 more security cameras, and we would also like to install a camera at our back door where this ADA ramp's gonna be. We would like to keep that back door locked. And we got estimates for this, and,
That's the back door, or is that the side door?
the side door, I'm calling it back door, but that's our side door.
so there is gonna be money to do this project also?
I would like to.
So, is the committee okay with, as long as the money's in the budgets to do these items? Or y'all got any questions about that?
What's our other ADA things we need to take care of first?
Well, the only other things that we would have left is the, bathrooms at the senior citizens building, and my maintenance is working on those right now. The senior citizens is closed down, so they're just, all they're having to do is remove, one of the stalls, make it larger. We'll lose one of the commodes in there, but in order to get the stalls large enough for ADA, accessible, we have to remove one of those commodes. The guys are doing it now, as a matter of fact, Kip and the, inmate was working on that today. A lot of that is, labor only, and Kip can do that.
Okay. So,
The archives building, the side of the building has a ramp, their bathroom is ADA compliant. We were thinking we were gonna have to make the front entrance ADA compliant, we're not. I went up there and looked at it. We're good, all we need up there is a sign, more signage showing where the ADA entrance is.
What about the, handicap ramp at, Churchill,
At the Churchill,
the,
Which building?
city academy? On the end where we, most, about everybody marks to get their tags and stuff.
that's the city of Churchill, so that's the parking lot, that there's a little problem there. Were you aware of that, Keith? Do you know what we're talking about? It's too steep.
Where you pull in and park, it's steep, trying to get out of the vehicle, but I was wondering about, we looked at that 12, 14 years ago.
Of course, there's a ramp there, and you can get in the building, but the handicap parking where you would park a van, it's
It's
too,
slow, yes.
it's too, the
Parking
slope
lot's
is
the city's
too.
responsibility.
Do what?
The parking lot's the city's responsibility.
Is that all on the ADA, sir, or we're pretty much almost in compliance on the ADA now?
Yes, sir, the a park has completed one of their bathrooms. Again, a lot of this is just labor. It's simple fixes. I've issued the PO for our bathroom. We're gonna have a unisex bathroom. We have to have a new door cut again. That estimate was $2,600. I've issued a PO for that. Also, there was a special project come up. Mr. Brewer knows about this. A lot of the offices are now wanting a glass, I guess, barrier installed on their countertops. I've issued a purchase order to, finish the project in the circuit court and the county clerk's office in Churchill. I also issued a purchase order to, put this up in the circuit court clerk's office at the Justice Center. Spoke with Ms. James this morning. She showed me an email that we could get, possibly reimbursed by the state for putting this up. So she's going to fill out the application where I'm gonna get estimates for her office. And I asked Mr. Collier to do the same. So we may not have to pay for those two. I asked Miss Davis, is she still in here? She isn't. I asked Nancy if anyone had mentioned that to her, for the county clerk's office, but she's not heard of that. It just appears as the administrative office of the courts, that they're willing to help them out if they put a barrier in their office, to get their office open back up and keep their employees safe. But those three offices, the estimates were around $6,700 for those three offices, both the offices in Churchill and the one at the Justice Center. And I issued purchase orders for those.
Okay. Project we're talking about right now, do you foresee any money being left over to maybe do one or two smaller projects that out of that, or do you think that basically what we're talking about now is going?
You know, what I'm hoping for, Mr. Brewer, is the ramp at our building for $25,000. Our part of the library reading room, our part on that is gonna be around $15,000. And if the inmate work crew doesn't get back up there, if they can't get up there and finish painting that, I'll have to hire a painter for the library building. What's been painted looks beautiful. I don't know if you all had a chance to go up there. That's something else I wanted to tell you about. All of our ADA, non-compliance at the library and senior citizens, except for the bathrooms, have been finished. And total price on that was $14,823.
How is the ramp at mayor's office gonna be? Have you got it? Have they shown you
$25,000.
how it's gonna be laid out?
It's gonna be just like it is, but longer.
Okay.
You have to be extended
Side
longer to
It's
make
gonna
it.
be, it's gotta be 5 feet wide. They're gonna try to use the brick that's still there. They're gonna try to salvage that and make that. It's gotta be a 5 by 5 where the door is. And they're gonna make
Is
that
it
wide.
5 foot now?
No.
Well, they're not gonna salvage that bridge, I can tell you that right now.
He thinks he can.
Now, is that, door, is it, what, 42 inches or bigger?
It's at least, isn't it?
I don't remember what width door it might be. I mean, I went in a lot, but I believe handicap is supposed to be like 42 inches or something wide.
Well, it used to be 3 foot, but it needs to be, 42. I think now they changed that. I think it's 42 now, but used to, you had to have a 3 foot door. But I don't know what to cut, I don't know.
I'm not sure either,
But I know we put 42 inches up there at the library.
I'm just wondering, you got the ramp that's got a width that you need.
Well, that door's a 3 foot door, I can tell you that right now.
I just wondered if the door was gonna be wide enough, know
you'd
what
have to
the
ask somebody
requirements
in
are.
code for that. I guess Sarah can find out that answer to that, I'm sure.
The ramp itself is
Well,
fine, it's
the-
wide enough, it just has to be up there, when they start in the door, it has to be a at least 5 by 5,
That bathroom,
flat surface.
that bathroom door we're putting in over is only a 3-foot door, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Well, 3 foot may be, I just asked a question, just to make sure. I wouldn't wanna spend $25,000 to get it done, then the door will be wide enough, you're gonna have to go back and do something again. Just do it all at
well,
once.
that's something we'll make sure before we bid it out and everything.
So if we could do these budget amendments that I proposed, we could do the ramp, the roof, and our part of the library, and that would put us at $111,000.
Then,
So that would check a lot of things off our list, those 3 items.
When we have a more concrete bid on the roof at the health department, so you're talking about, he give you a ballpark.
Well, I would have to hire an architect and, yes, and he would write the specs, it would go out for bid, then we just have to wait till the bids came back.
Before we hire an architect, I think we need to talk to that engineer again, and it might be that he can write those specs up. I know he can write the specs up without hiring an architect, which would probably be cheaper. You know, since he's already looked at it. Is any other questions or anything we need
I've
to
got
take?
one, what is the status on, the pump station at the jail?
They're working on it, Charlie, there's no way it's gonna be finished in time, we've had way too much rain. It doesn't look like a lot's being done, but they are working on it, and that's another reason we probably need some more help, is because somebody's gotta maintain that. We don't know what it's gonna take to take care of it. We might have to empty the bag that it's going to deposit in 3 times a day, or we may can go for a week before we empty it. That's just something we don't know.
Any other discussion? Did we take care of all those motions that we need to take care of?
For the budget amendments, yes,
The
sir.
budget amendments, sending those to the budget committee? Has anybody else got anything on the budget?
We have to. Excuse me, we'll have to wait till next year.
I guess, I'm sorry, Bob.
1,500. What I do is, we'll have to wait till next year on modernization of that HVAC system for the courthouse.
We could, and, you know, I've got a lot of room to work next year. If I take my savings I had on my communication, and I put it in my building improvements, I got a lot of money to work with. And we can do projects such as that. Now,
We're
we can't
saving
do,
some money on that HVAC.
Yeah, we can save some, it's
Save
saving
quite a bit.
2 years.
we could, and remember, I got an estimate, it was gonna be around $50,000 to look at the Justice Center, because we couldn't, do anything, or we didn't think what we had, we could unoccupy. But I got another company to come in and look at it, and for, around $650 for him to come and show us. He says, I can show you how to unoccupy that. So now we can start unoccupying at least the court side. And that's a lot of room that we can unoccupy on the weekends and the nights, especially long weekends.
Something that I've not discussed with nobody, but, you know, we were talking about, we've been talking about the roof at the Justice Center. And I'm not sure what, you know, this is just, I guess in a form of question myself. We talked about sometime that there's no insulation up there against that metal. And I'm not sure what we couldn't get a spray foam insulation against that metal that might also help with the leaks.
After we get our roof fixed.
Well, I'm not sure that we need to you know, that foam insulation is waterproof. It's waterproof. So, just something to think about. So,
And I guess another question I would have is, would you like for me to, or would you like to pick projects that are on our capital projects list and put them in the budget for next year, or do you want to just use, you know, we moved some of that tax revenue to a special line. Right now, that balance is around $454. Is that right? Do you all have your books with you?
I think everybody needs to look at these
Do you want to
capital
work out of
projects.
that, or as
There's,
needed, or do you want to put it in the budget?
well, I know that we got some time for the roof up our at the airport. I mean, that's something that.
We've applied for a grant to do
Let go.
that. I think that's covered.
So,
I put that on the project list. We applied for a $30,000 grant at the airport. And I think we're gonna get it. That was guaranteed,
Yeah, that
wasn't it?
looks pretty good.
So
that's
gonna
gotta
take
be
care of
done.
that.
If we don't get a grant, we still gonna have to put a roof on.
At the airport.
At the airport.
The kiosks went out for bid. That's going to be, the bids are gonna be opened on that on Thursday. There's enough money in the airport budget to take care of that, so you can mark that one off the list, so.
I would like, for one thing, for us to really look at as soon as we can do it, and this is my opinion, is the flooring in the annex.
I agree.
That, where we've got duct tape on the floors, that needs to be fixed.
Well, how are we gonna look at that? Are we gonna put more carpet down, are we gonna put wood down, or are we gonna have somebody come in and grind concrete and set it? Because we did that we built a building at our church, it's good size, and people don't have time. They grounded concrete and set it, it's still there. I mean, they haven't done anything, that's not, it looks good too.
Is that acid stain that they use, Bob?
I'm not sure how they did it, I was kind of leery of it, but it's holding up one.
Is that so like what Walmart is doing?
Walmart doing the same thing. Kingsport's got one like,
Kingsport's one up there, on this side of Kingsport.
I mean, can we just have people come in and look at that and see, or do we have to have a permit?
I think that's something other that, you know, of course, will this committee need to make that decision, or, you know, whatever, it's,
Just
that's
get some
something we
prices
need to
on
make
it.
sure that we,
Get some prices on it, get it done, because it's just terrible.
I'd like for everybody to take these proposed capital budget, projects and look at them and sort of prioritize them. If we can prioritize them, knowing what we're already in the process of doing, that would give Sarah something to look at and start to get some estimates on to what the cost would be going, whatever. I guess we've done already talked about it. Is any other discussion on the Churchill Health Department roof?
So I guess I'm wanting you to just clarify with me what we've decided to do. So we're not gonna put any money in additional funds in our public buildings for a capital project, such as the roof. Last year, we put $50,000 in there, for the health department roof. So we're not gonna do any of that this year. I'm gonna get these projects done out of this year's budget, have a lot to work with next year, and if we have a large capital project we would like to do, we would just go to the money that's in the revenue that's there for capital projects.
Capital projects, well, you got the sheriff already asking for $330,000,
I know, he's taken almost all of it.
wanting to.
He needs an $817,000 roof too. I actually had, the warranty guy and the roofer to go last Friday together and look at that roof. They have not given me back their, report on that yet. But we've got the warranty company and the roofer went out there together. But the estimate from the roofer was $817,000 for a new roof on that building.
How much?
817,
Where,
the Justice Center.
it's best if you can keep an architect knowing how much money you've got.
any other discussion on the Churchill Health Department roof? And I guess we sort of got, we've been discussing the proposed capital projects for 2021 budget. Is anything else to be said about that? Sarah done basically updated this on all the projects that's going on. You got anything else to say about the project update, Sarah?
Well, I just would like to thank the city of Rogersville for allowing their, street department to do the sidewalks up there. They saved us a lot of money, they look really good. We're partners with the library anyway, so I said instead of hiring somebody to come up here and pour sidewalks, could I use you guys? And that really worked out, they did a great job. If you've got time, go up there and look, they're so happy. They even made a place to the side where the senior citizens go out and have lunch or whatever, they have a picnic table and they poured the area under that. It looks really nice, they did a really good job. The total ADA with the new door at the senior citizens, the repair work on the rotted door at the library, the sidewalks, the access control, everything was $14,823, and they had estimated, prior estimates was $50,000, and all that. We did it for 14 just by bidding out job to this guy and a job to this guy. It cost the county $5,900. The city paid $88,000. So we didn't involve an architect for that.
Sir deserves a big thank you for that, so, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
What you gonna say, a raise that?
Well, thank you, a lot.
She'd probably take that.
I'd say thank you.
Is there any other business to be discussed today? If not, motion to adjourn would be in order.
I so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Thacker, second by Commissioner Gibson. All in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign.
Does anybody want to be in here? Somebody be in here for tomorrow morning? I need to take this off.
Would you all like
I
to
just
sit
wanna
where
read
you are tomorrow? Is this okay with you all?
I'm
Is it
fine where I'm at.
And if Eric gets his Wi-Fi set up, we could send him there for Nancy, cause he could plug directly into the internet.
Thank everybody for being here.
Anything else, John?
When you have it,
Okay.
Oh, I gotta get up here at 8:30. Archer.
Start.